There is a lot of speculation out there about the price potential of Filecoin. Well, in today's video, I'm going to spend some time with you guys sharing my thoughts and opinions as to where I think the price action is going. This will be my price prediction for 2025. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. If you are new to the channel, subscribe, and let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on with Filecoin. I'm going to keep it quite simple, at least in my mind it's going to be quite simple. Hopefully it will be simple for you guys to follow along with what I'm doing here as well. But we are going to be taking a look at File paired up with USDT. This is the one-day Binance chart, and we are going to try to predict out where we think that future price is likely to go based on historical patterns and historical buying behaviors. Now, we are not going to really focus on too much in terms of the indicators, but we are going to use a couple of tools to help us predict things out. We're going to first of all use a Fibonacci retracement and extension tool. This basically is a fantastic tool that allows you to kind of see and feel, use the word feel quite loosely here, but allows you to kind of see where the sentiment of the market is. Okay, and what we mean by that is there's key levels on the Fibonacci sequencing that the market is going to feel that the price is either undervalued or overvalued, and we can see these kind of being areas of support and resistance, and they're very important that we can't, just ignore these. I know a lot of people don't focus on it so much, but it's very, very important. The other tool that we're going to use is something called Elliott Wave. Elliott Wave is a fantastic tool. It bases itself on the psychology of the herd, and so it tracks people's buying and selling behaviors inside the price action, and that allows us to predict out what they are likely to do based on certain patterns. For example, if we see an A wave, then we should expect a B and a C wave, right? And so we can predict out the future based on Elliott Wave. Now, the combination of our Fibonacci and our Elliott wave go hand in hand. For example, we might find that an A wave goes up to the 0.618, a retracement to the 236, and then a move up to the 1-to-1, for example. Okay, the two things kind of go hand in hand. Now, when it comes to Fibonacci, I am going to show you my settings so that you guys can see what it is that I'm using here. So as you can see, these are the numbers that I'm using. You can feel free to pause it and add them to your own chart if you want to. The important note is at the bottom, I have ticked this little box, which is fib levels based on a log scale. This is because my chart is in log scale, and you can see the little L down here. This L represents logarithmic. Okay, if I do not have that on, you can see everything changes. My whole entire chart changes, right? That's what logarithmic looks like. This is what it looks like without logarithmic. And because I use the logarithmic chart, I must have my Fibonacci also tagged up as logarithmic. Okay, very important note. If you don't do that, you're going to get the wrong numbers. For example, my chart's in logarithmic, but if my Fibonacci tool is not, it would look like this, and it gives you very different numbers, right? And that's not helpful, okay, because you're going to get the wrong predictions if you do that. So we're going to make sure that everything is kind of squared up and is in logarithmic style, as you see here. Okay, so those are the two tools that we are going to use. Okay, fine. So Elliott Wave is a little complicated. I did put together a whole course on it. It's linked in the description. Check that out over at 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗀𝗠𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀𝒀 Again, if it's not in the description, jump into the free Discord. That is linked in the description down below, and we can obviously get you any potential discounts if there are any live and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and get on with this price prediction for Filecoin, FIL token. Now, there's a lot of kind of, I guess, sentiment around kind of the bearishness that was in here. Okay, as you can kind of see, we saw this big move to the downside during 2021, 2022, and so forth. Now, of course, we did break out above this, and we did actually set some higher highs. And so the downtrend is done with a bear market low point. That comes in 2022, December of 2022, which was $2.41.9. Okay, so we have a low point down here. We also have a high point on launch, which was 15th of October 2020. We'd never come back up to that original high launch price. I will go ahead and snap in a line here. It was $430. It's unrealistic. It's not one to really focus in, but this little high of 2021 is the one that I think we need to focus on, which was $238. Okay, so a lot of people are kind of speculating that maybe the idea here is that we do go up into, you know, some fantastic runs. And if we were to just go up to its previous, I'm going to use the 2021 all-time high. I don't really think the launch is a fair all-time high. I'm going to use the 2021 high. That would be in 6,000. 898% move from current price at the point of recording. If I take the actual low from December, which if I go ahead and snap this in, and I pull this up, we can see that that would be 9,600%. So there's a potential for some pretty lucrative gains, right, if we move back up to those previous highs. And I want to caveat that with the big if we move up to those previous highs. Obviously, the price action that we see at the moment is very, very interesting. Now, obviously, there's lots of fundamental things that are driving the kind of price appreciations, and demand is a key aspect of that. If there's not enough demand for the actual use case, then of course price is going to trend down the way that we have been seeing. Okay, and all the price action we see at the moment is an indication of lack of demand more than anything else. Of course, tokenomics do shift and change in terms of the circulating supply over the years, more unlocks and so forth, but Filecoin positions itself very, very well from a fundamental standpoint, so well worth checking out some of the review videos that I've done on Filecoin as well. Okay, so the main takeaway here is that we saw a very big pull to the downside, $2.41.9. Since then, we have actually seen some interesting kind of price reactions. Okay, so initial really impulsive breakout from the December 2022 lows. So we can see that right inside here, and we use the fib chart here. We can see that we had this run from $241.9 to $9.50. We take this over to the retracement, which obviously always happens. Okay, so we see distribution, then we see accumulation. Okay, now from here we can see that we did rally up to, and of course, like I mentioned earlier, that 1-to-1, right, for our three-wave structure. So in here we have what I believe to be what we'd call a double zigzag pattern. That is a WXY structure, and basically it would have looked for 1063 to 1468. Okay, and that would be the price prediction based on the low that we had here, and you can see that we tapped right into this range and we hit that area, right? Great. So what about what happened afterwards? Well, we saw another pull to the downside, pretty significant one at that, and this one is really also quite interesting. It looks again like a double zigzag pattern. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, I'll just quickly go into this. A zigzag is known as an ABC structure. It is also known as a 5-3-5 structure. So you have 5-wave internal structure points internally. Okay, and what a double zigzag is essentially two of these ABC structures strung together. Okay, so it would look like this, and you'd have your 5-wave counts internally here, like so. And I just draw one more in just so we can complete the example. Okay, so you have 5-3-5, then you have a 3-wave correction. That can be lots of different things. I'll just use ABC for the purpose here. And then you have a 5-3-5 correction back to the upside, and that gets wrapped up inside a W, X, and Y structure. Okay, quite simple when you understand it. There's lots of rules that follow it, but just for the purpose of today's video, so you understand what I'm talking about, we have the WXY going up here. Okay, so we can see that we have the ABC structure there. Okay, and we can see that we also have inside here, this one that's actually more of a triple zigzag pattern. Okay, so you'd have your WXY, X, and Z pattern right inside there. Okay, I've wrapped it up as a WXY on a bigger scale, but technically that wouldn't be correct. You'd actually just have a WXY or ABC correction, WXYXZ. It's just all corrective patterns. Okay, I'll remove that for now. And what I see going on down here is, again, a very interesting kind of structure of a WXY. So we have W, X, and Y with those internal workings also mirroring that. So you have your A, B, and C structure, which is actually a little irregular here. So it's one of those to keep a close eye on. So that could potentially be something different, but this one's very, very clear ABC structure. Okay, so the purpose of that, and the reason that I want to talk about that a little bit, is that it's very corrective in the way that it's moving down. Okay, so we had the impulsive potential here, and we could argue that maybe this was as well, but it doesn't have the internal workings, the correct internal workings to be considered impulsive to the downside, and an impulsion would be a trend. So we're not trending down from our highs of March 2024, to August 5th. It's a very corrective pattern. Then, of course, we get into this consolidation. So again, like we saw many times before, we saw distribution and reaccumulation. We see distribution and we see reaccumulation. Okay, now that's really important for understanding the potential of what happens next, right? So you have your accumulation, and down here you have your you have your distribution at the top, and then you have your reaccumulation at the bottom. You have your distribution at the top, and right now you are in that accumulative area. Okay, so history is kind of repeating itself, and you can kind of see it just bouncing around. Now, for people who don't follow Elliott Wave or anything like that, you could also argue that what we're really witnessing here is more of a ranging market, okay, and that is also very apparent as something that is potentially what is going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and snap in this little range right here and pull it across. I might actually just expand that up to the higher wicks there, and I'll probably pull it down just to those positions over here. Okay, so over here you can see that in July of 2022 we pushed up into this range between $8.70 and $11.87. Then we basically have this knee-jerk reaction and pull to the downside. Now, this pull to the downside also shows us with a very interesting area of demand. Okay, so I'm going to pull this across and I'm going to pull it this way. And here you can see that the price action, when it taps into the lower range between $41.9 and $4.49.5, we kind of see price moving back to the upside, right? So within this ranging market it's actually really quite a positive place to be, okay, because it allows you to kind of see where things are likely to go. Now, we are looking for a break to the upside. Now, assuming that we have a complete structure moving to the downside and that this, in fact, is an ABC up, a corrective move down, a WXYXZ up, there's no bigger macro pattern to be thinking about what happens next. Instead, we have to think about setting a whole new structure. And 2025 is looking like a very promising year. Okay, so let's go ahead and zoom out of here and take a look at where other areas of previous support and resistance came in, because these are going to be areas where we want to be thinking about price struggling a little bit. Okay, if I pull that across, you can see this was initial support areas. We came down, we turned it into a support again, but then lost it. So this is going to be a key area for the price action of Filecoin as we kind of think about the next structures appearing. There's a little area just above that as well. This is coming in to this range right here, and I'm going to draw it in right around here. Sounds about right. So pull that across and you can see between $41 and $60 previous resistance. We broke through it, turned to support, but couldn't hold it, and we start a tumble to the downside. Now, with all of this being said, we can start thinking about, potential structures. Now, this is a very corrective place to be. Now, it's possible that maybe there's other things going on here from a technical standpoint, but for the most part, it doesn't look like we're setting a new structured point to the upside. The move to the downside looks complete, so we are looking for a reversal into 2025. 2025 is gearing up to be a bullish market, and we are looking for some pretty decent prices. So let's go ahead and use the Fibonacci retracement tool here to figure out, what's going on. Okay, so as we kind of think about price action and we think about, look at that. That one right there is very interesting. Okay, you can see that this one's also very interesting as well. Not so much this low side, but it's between the 236 and the 382. Okay, so let's talk about this. What do we have? Well, we can see that the Fibonacci areas and the Fibonacci numbers, right, starts at 0, okay, and goes all the way up to 1. Okay, so 0 is $2.41.9 and 1 represents $238.20. And in here we have the 882, the 786, the 702, the 618, the 0.5, the 0.382, the 0.236. Okay, now where I've drawn in these yellow boxes, taking a look at our price action and where historically the resistances were, we can see actually there's inside of these areas some key places that we can see as potential resistance and support areas. So on the low side down here, this is actually between $7.14 to $13.96.7. So that's going to be the first barrier. We're going to look to try to break the 382, of course getting above that 200 EMA as well. Okay, so that's going to be the first thing. Up here at $24, we have the 50% level, the 50% between 0 and 1. That represents $24 and comes in here right in the resistance range. Okay, so that's going to be an interesting area to break through as well. The main one though, the main one comes right in here, and I drew this on, and it's a 0.618. A 0.618 is a psychological area where people feel that something is overvalued or undervalued, and when the price goes to a 0.618, the price wants to react. Okay, people want to react. They want to react emotionally in some way. That's either through buying or through selling. Okay, now as the price is lower than the 0.618, we would expect price to rally up to 41.25.8 and find resistance, and it will be a major bit of resistance. The 702 is not technically a Fibonacci sequencing number, but Bitcoin likes to react to a 702. So that's $60.66.6 for all those people out there who are superstitious. Yes, that's 666. Okay, so we can see This is a high probability range, a high probability area of previous support come resistance that the 0.618 and 702 levels, that is likely to be the resistance for Filecoin. The 786 at $80.20 is also a very, very interesting point. You can see previous resistance here as well on the 786. And so we are likely to find that this is going to be a potential area for major resistance as well. Okay, so let's put that into perspective. What is the actual price prediction, right? So coming in from our lows of December 2022, and I'm going to go ahead and snap this on right in here, and we can take a look at these areas, right? So if we find resistance at $24, which I do think we are going to do so initially, that would be an 883% rally, okay? But I do think we're going to get past that. I think the main area of resistance is actually going to come in right here on that 0.618 at $41.25, and that there would put us at about 1,600% from the December 22 lows. If we do rally up to the 702, which is the higher range expectations I would have, would be a 2,381% move. And should we push through there and tap into that slightly higher range of the $89 range, that's 0.786, it's going to put us at 3,500%. Okay, now from our current positioning, working ourselves backwards from the point of recording, we're talking 2,500%, we'll talk about 1,600%, 1,000%, and then down here would be 590%. So in contrast, what are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about the potential for the 50%, the $24 being a 5x from its current position. We're talking about the 0.618 from its current position being about a 10x. And we're talking about the 702, which is the area that I think is the most likely to be kind of major resistance, comes in at approximately 16x, with, of course, the 786 being around 23x from its current position. Okay, so there's some serious potential here for Filecoin, but I do think that we need to obviously get through a lot of these areas of resistances to get past some of those Fibonacci levels and structure out what I'd hope to see would be a 5-wave move to the upside in an Elliott wave structure. So those are kind of my thoughts and opinions on Filecoin, but you can let me know what your price predictions are in the comments down below, or join us in our free Discord server and we can continue the conversations down there. If you found this video helpful and informative, smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe, and don't forget to check out this video. It's not one that you want to miss.